Alright guys, this is Sammy Classic Sonic Fan, and I've come from 7 years in the freaking past to freaking tell you guys to like this video and freaking subscribe to the Imperishable Sammy Zenith, and if you don't, I'm going to lose my marbles! Take it away, future me!
Alright guys, this is Sammy, Imperishable freaking Sammy Zenith. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys a freaking update on my freaking top 10 freaking Sonic games of all time, because it's been about freaking 7 years since I started making YouTube videos, and the freaking top 10 Sonic games was my first video ever. So I just figured to celebrate 7 lucky years, might as well freaking just redo it, alright? First of all, I'm not gonna freaking spend a really long time explaining why everything's ranked the way it is. Okay, so if you expect me to do that, then freaking leave a comment and I'll clarify, or else, you know, don't freaking be so disappointed, okay? So let's freaking just delve into this now and start with number 10, which is Sonic 1. Alright, this game has to be on the freaking list, obviously, because this game freaking laid the foundation. This is the game that put Sega on the map as a viable contender for Nintendo, okay? And of course, you gotta appreciate the freaking simplicity of it. It's just Sonic and Robotnik. There's no need for any other characters at this point in time. Good momentum-based platforming. Very unique for its time, and of course the graphics are very vibrant. They look really good on the Sega Genesis, and like many other Sonic games that came after it, this game has really good replayability because it encourages you to collect all 6 of the Chaos Emeralds. Yes, it was only 6 at the time. And who could forget that this game gave us the memorable zones and soundtracks. Some of the most memorable zones and soundtracks in the series history. So that's why this game's at freaking number 10. But many games that came after it were a bit better in my opinion. So let's get into that. At number 9, we've got freaking Sonic CD. Alright, this game has a freaking awesome cinematic intro. This game introduced Metal Sonic, who's freaking cool as frick, and Amy, who wasn't very interesting in this game, but her character will be fleshed out in later games, okay? And this game introduced the time travel mechanic, which is pretty awesome, okay? I love the soundtrack too, and this game is just very creative. This game is very ahead of its time, so that's why I have it at number 9. And at number 8, we've got Sonic Adventure. Now, that might be confusing for some of you guys because freaking, you may remember me calling Sonic Adventure fanboys fan fricks and all that. Okay, well, I've gained a freaking appreciation for this game and Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Heroes over the years, okay? This game is what brought Sonic into 3D. I think it has the best gameplay formula for 3D Sonic, alright? It's got tight controls, and it's just good for balanced gameplay. This game also has fantastic music. It's got an actually good story, unlike some of the abominations from recent Sonic games that Sega tries to pass off as stories. And I gotta commend this game for breathing new life into the series, and it just gives you a new take on the existing cast, alright? It's not trying to undo the classics. And of course, this game has some weak spots, but I think if Sega was to make a remake of this game, as Takashi Iizuka suggested, they can refine some of those aforementioned weak spots, alright? So, moving on, at number 7, we've got Sonic Heroes. This game has the freaking best character utilization out of any game in the freaking series. Don't at me. This game has just one gameplay style, unlike Sonic Adventure, which is a huge advantage. And this game brings back the special stages. I like how this game is more structured like the classic Sonic games, unlike Adventure and Adventure 2. And this game has an epic comeback for Metal Sonic, the best freaking Sonic villain of all time. And I like how this game has the tornado move for Sonic. I think that's a good move that they should have brought back in later games. And of course, this game does have some problems, like it feels a bit slow-paced at times, I think it feels like a step down from Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 in some ways, like, the different story campaigns are less, like, varied and unique, so, I would definitely say this game deserves its spot at number 7 overall. Moving on, number 6, we've got Sonic Colors, and this freaking game takes the best parts of Sonic Unleashed and just makes the gameplay revolve entirely around that. I'm talking particularly about the freaking daytime stages of Sonic Unleashed, and that's a good freaking idea, okay? And unfortunately, Sonic Forces ruined that gameplay style, but we don't have to freaking talk about that, okay? So, I like the Wisp mechanics. I don't like how they brought it back in later games for no freaking reason. But for this game, I think it works, alright? I think it blends really well into the gameplay. Alright, I like the freaking light-hearted tone of the game and the colorful environments. Reminds me of the classics. And I like how the story doesn't take itself too seriously. Okay? Now, at freaking number 5, we've got Sonic Generations. And this game brought back classic Sonic, of course, which was really hype and it was executed well. And this game also mastered the freaking boost gameplay. This game has great reimaginings of zones from past games. I like how this game celebrates the entire series' history up to that point of 20 years. However, this game was guilty of marking a noticeable decline in the story quality of the modern Sonic games. Also, it's a very short game, but I guess there's some good bonus content. So, at number 4, we've got Sonic Adventure 2. I think this game has the best freaking soundtrack of any of the freaking Sonic games. Any of the 3D Sonic games. And this game bases itself around the best parts of its predecessor, namely, the Sonic stages, the Knuckles stages, the E123 Gamma stages. I mean, frick, I'm sorry, I meant to say E102 Gamma. Sorry, I was getting him confused with Omega. Anyways, yeah, so instead you've got freaking Sonic slash Shadow being like the Sonic stages of Adventure 1. Then you've got Knuckles slash Rouge being like the Knuckles stages of Sonic Adventure 1. And then you've got freaking Tails slash Robotnik being like the Gamma stages of Sonic Adventure 1. Anyways, I think this game shines most in the freaking Sonic and Shadow levels. It's got a really compelling story, good story. And, of course, this game introduced to us Shadow, who's arguably the most iconic character in the series besides Sonic. You could argue Tails fits that role a bit better, but I still think Shadow was a fantastic character to bring into the series, okay? And suffice to say, this game made a lasting impact as the final Sonic game of the Sega consoles. But you never know, maybe Sega will decide to throw its hat into the console ring once again. You never freaking know. Especially with the success of the Sonic movie. Anyways, at number 3, we've got freaking Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Alright. I think this game was a huge improvement over Sonic 1. I think this game was more consistently enjoyable throughout the game, because Sonic 1 could get pretty freaking frustrating at times, whereas this game had more reasonable difficulty and a better balance of speed and platforming. Alright? And this game introduced the Spin Dash, which is arguably Sonic's most useful move. And I like the freaking special stages in this game. I think it did a good job of demonstrating the graphic capabilities of the Genesis, because it looked like 3D graphics without actually being that. This game gave us Tails, of course. Tails is my favorite character in the series besides Sonic. And as you saw in my Sonic movie review, made me happy that he actually made a cameo appearance in the movie. Something we didn't see in the movie was Super Sonic, which was introduced in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, so we'll probably be seeing that in the Sonic movie sequel. But anyways, Tails doesn't really add much to the gameplay. Nonetheless, it's kind of fun to have him tag along. And Super Sonic is one of the most satisfying unlockables in freaking any game ever, alright? Because he's freaking invincible, he's even faster than base Sonic, he can jump higher, and his design is just really cool because he looks like a Super Saiyan. Alright, at the freaking number 2 spot, we have Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Alright, this game has a freaking good story. This game is different from its freaking predecessors, because whereas in the predecessors you had to look in the game manuals to understand the story, in this freaking game, the story is told within the game itself, alright? And I like how this game has dynamic environments, alright? I like how there are bosses at the end of each level. I like the Blue Sphere special stages, even more so than Sonic 2 special stages. I also like how this freaking game has bonus stages that are different from the special stages. And they're sort of made to be in the style of the Sonic 1 special stages, where you're sort of like tilting around and stuff. And this game did a good job of incorporating multiple playable characters, each with their own unique abilities. It adds to the replayability because you want to experience the game in different ways, alright? And this game has a really good soundtrack because of Michael Jackson's Michael Jackson's influence. And of course, this game introduced Knuckles and the Hyper Transformation, which I don't freaking care what anyone says. It's canon and it's really awesome. It's basically Supersonic, but even better. So powerful that he'll give you a freaking seizure. Anyways, this game has an expansive story campaign too, because it's basically 2 games, but it's still just one big game. This game improved the freaking multiplayer by giving us a versus mode, and I really like how this game can lock on to, well, Sonic and Knuckles in particular can lock on to Sonic 3, Sonic 2, and even Sonic 1. Alright, that's pretty freaking cool. Moving on, at number 1, this may surprise you, but Sonic Mania Plus is my favorite freaking Sonic game. This game freaking takes the spot as my favorite freaking Sonic game, whereas Sonic 3 Knuckles was my favorite before. And let me freaking explain why. For one, this game introduces a new element called the Drop Dash, which I think is a better freaking unique ability for Sonic than the Insta-Shield, but some people like the Insta-Shield better. I can freaking respect that, but I can never really master that ability in Sonic 3 Knuckles. But this game has the option for Insta-Shield too. Anyways, I think this game overall takes the best elements from all the previous classic Sonic games. Sonic 2, Sonic 3 Knuckles, and even Sonic CD. And freaking, I like how this game introduced some new villains, which are the hard-boiled heavies, alright? Because they were freaking created by Dr. Robotnik, but at the same time, they feel like they stand out on their own. So I freaking like that about the hard-boiled heavies. This game gives us freaking new special stages, which kind of feels like a combination of Sonic CD and Sonic 2 special stages. And this game also freaking brought back the Blue Sphere stages, which is awesome. Alright, they're just freaking bonus stages in this game. Okay, and this game had some really good DLC, which is the Plus content, and it was a really good decision to eventually release that as a freaking physical release instead of only making it a digital release. It's good to have freaking both options, alright? And freaking this game did a good job of giving us a combination of new stages and old stages that are reimagined. And this game feels like a true successor to the classics, unlike freaking Sonic the Hedgehog 4, okay? Sonic 4 is a freaking decent game in its own right, but it shouldn't be considered a sequel to the classics. This is a true sequel to the freaking classics. I could actually see this game being freaking made in the 90s, like for the freaking Sega Saturn or something. I also like how this game freaking ties into Sonic Forces. That's like the only freaking redeeming quality about Sonic Forces anyways. This game could also be a launching pad for future classic style games because this game isn't a numbered sequel. Personally, it wouldn't freaking surprise me if they're working on that right now because of how freaking successful Sonic Mania was. My one freaking complaint about this game is that there was no unlockable Hypersonic. Like, what the frick? Better be in freaking Sonic Mania 2. So, just as a freaking bonus, I'm gonna freaking, explain to you guys what are my top 7 worst Sonic games. Because, 1, I couldn't think of freaking 10 bad Sonic games. There's more good about this series than bad. And 2, you know what? It sort of makes sense because, again, 7 years on YouTube. Why the frick not? So, freaking, at number 7, we've got Sonic 3D Blast, okay? The controls in this game are freaking difficult as frick, okay? And I don't like how this game's got gameplay that's centered around freaking defeating all the enemies rather than just getting to the freaking goal. Honestly. But you know what? I mean, I'll give this game some credit, alright? It's got a good soundtrack, in my opinion anyways, especially if you're playing the Saturn version. And it's got good graphics in spite of the technical limitations, especially if you're looking at the freaking Genesis version. So at number 6, we've got Shadow the Hedgehog. Urgh! Holy frick! Why the frick did they put freaking guns and vehicles in this game? Like, why the frick does Sonic freaking need that in a freaking game? Alright, oh, but it's Shadow. Alright, yeah, they wanted to make this a whole different branch of the Sonic series. Look how that freaking turned out. Alright, the tone in this freaking game just feels completely freaking off for a Sonic game. Doesn't even feel like it should be a Sonic game, okay? Alright, they should just make a completely new freaking idea. Just make a new freaking original series, Sega, okay? Like, Sonic can't just be your only thing. Anyways, this game, yeah, it's this, you know, you've got the soundtrack, but it's freaking forgettable as frick. Alright, you'll have people like quoting, "All hail Shadow." Okay, it's like freaking trying to sound like heavy metal. Heavy metal freaking sucks, okay? Alright, like, you gotta listen to freaking 50s styled rock, you gotta listen to freaking big band jazz music, like they have in the freaking Mario series, okay? Alright, you gotta listen to that freaking kind of music, not the freaking modern freaking trash freaking music that they freaking have, okay? But Sonic did freaking better rock music in other freaking games, okay? So, this game's music freaking sucks! And the story, alright, like, they freaking had a good idea of, making different possible endings for the story, but it's just poor execution, okay? And freaking, you know what? I don't hate every aspect of this game, okay? Because it's got good character utilization, it's got freaking tight controls, and guess what? The multiplayer, it's kind of fun, okay? I liked playing the multiplayer with my little brother back in the day. I like how you can play as regular Shadow, or, you know, the Shadow androids, something like that. I think it's pretty cool how you can do that, I guess. Anyways, moving on, freaking Sonic Forces at number 5. Yeah, I think this game's even freaking worse than freaking Shadow the Hedgehog, and let me freaking explain why, okay? Let me explain why. So, you've got the freaking crappy level design. Alright, it's so bad, it's just too automated, and it's freaking, like, they, like, put quick time into it. Alright, I freaking hate quick time events in freaking games, okay? This isn't freaking God of War, it's Sonic, okay? So it doesn't even make sense. It's got bad physics, even for classic Sonic. Like, what the frick? How do you mess that part of the game up? The soundtrack is very hit or miss. You know, sometimes I think, oh yeah, sounds good. But other times it's like, what the frick? Like, did they just get bottom of the barrel freaking composers or something? Like, what? So, yeah, and then you've got freaking classic Sonic put into this game, even though they said they wouldn't bring classic Sonic back into another modern game, which I could respect, but nope, they freaking contradict themselves for the sake of pandering and just not knowing what the frick to do with this freaking franchise. Alright, this game has terrible boss fights, alright, and they can't even come up with unique designs for Eggman's mechs. The story execution is really bad. It's even worse than freaking Sonic 06 in my opinion. Okay, But guess what? You know, it's not all bad like freaking, the Avatar stages, I think are the best freaking parts of the game. Yeah, the freaking OCs are the best part of the game. Who would have freaking guessed? Like, honestly. I know, I guess it's supposed to be the freaking selling point of the game anyway, so whatever. I don't think the Avatar part was as bad as I thought it would be. Sounded really cringe at first, though. But I also like how Shadow the Hedgehog has a more important role. Why the freak doesn't Tails have a more important role, though? Or any of the other freaking characters? Like, Tails looks like such a freaking weak coward. Like, make him how he was in Sonic Adventure or Sonic Mania, like, really independent. Okay, you fricks? Also, why the frick are the Wisps back again? Like, they're replacing, you know, the boost stamina, where you get the rings and increase your boost stamina. They're replacing that with just the Wisps. Like, Sonic can freaking boost without the Wisps. Like, what the frick? You know, it's just a freaking, it's just a freaking contradiction, because Sonic can do it without that. But anyways, at number 4, we have Sonic the freaking Fighters. Like, I don't even have freaking much to say about this game. I never even freaking owned this game. I just played it at my friend's house, and it freaking sucks. It's one of the worst Sonic games I've ever freaking played. Okay, it's got, like, really difficult controls. Like, one of the main appeals of fighting games is the ability to master the controls with different characters. Alright, you can't even freaking do that with this game. This game is just so, poorly made. No wonder this game barely ever gets freaking talked about. Alright? I forget this game even exists, most of the time. Okay, and freaking, you know what? This game has some redeeming qualities, though, because it's got a freaking good cast of characters, alright? Like freaking Bean the Dynamite, Bark the Polar Bear, alright? Just these freaking characters that never even freaking heard of before. Knack the Weasel. Well, Knack the Weasel was in other games, but, you know, I like the character cast. It was a good way to expand the Sonic universe at the time, just even though it was with these non-canon characters. Also, I think this game had decent graphics, but it's mainly because it was an arcade game. Anyways, at number freaking 3, we've got Sonic 2006. Okay, it may be surprising that this game isn't considered my number 1 worst, alright? But you will see what freaking games are above it in terms of being even worse. And I will explain that. But first, let me explain why this game is so freaking bad, okay? I mean, you've all freaking heard it before. I've even made a freaking, review of Sonic 06. Granted, that was over like freaking 7 years ago, but whatever, alright? This game has a horrible freaking hub world, alright? Like, you can't even freaking navigate it. Like, you're just gonna get freaking lost for hours. And it's really freaking boring. Like, I just want to play the freaking game. Let me play the freaking levels, okay? I don't want to be lost in this freaking terrible hub world with ugly humans for hours. And don't even get me started on the freaking glitches, okay? People don't even freaking exaggerate about the glitches. Like, it's impossible not to encounter so many freaking glitches in this freaking game. Like, ugh! They couldn't even be bothered to patch the freaking game because they saw the reviews and like, oh, well, we already messed up. There's no point even fixing it, so whatever, we're just gonna leave it alone. Frick you, Sega! And I bet it's because, a lot of the freaking employees who worked on the game freaking quit. So how sad is that? Alright, in the story, as I said before, it's better than Sonic Forces. Frick Sonic Forces story, freaking disappointing as frick. I mean, how could they have freaking chaos, with a cameo appearance, but he's not even a boss fight or anything. But moving on from freaking that, with Sonic freaking 06, how the frick did they think it would be a good idea to put a freaking human in a freaking Sonic game? I mean a freaking human girlfriend, that's what I meant to say. How'd they think that would be a freaking good idea? The only freaking human that should be in Sonic is freaking Dr. Eggman. There shouldn't be any other freaking humans in it. Maria and Gerald Robotnik get a freaking pass because they're related to Dr. Eggman. But Sonic getting a freaking human girlfriend, okay, you could argue, oh, well, they're just paying homage to the Sonic 1 concepts. Guess what? That didn't freaking make it into Sonic 1 because it was a bad freaking idea. So, why not freaking respect that instead of freaking 15 years later putting it into a game that was supposed to be like a reboot or whatever, but it failed in that freaking regard, obviously. And you know what? I'll give this game some credit. Alright, the story has good freaking character utilization, which is something that Sonic games did a good job of at the time. And freaking, this game did a good job of building tension, unlike freaking Sonic Forces. But overall, the story is complete crap, alright? Princess Elise is an even worse freaking human character than Chris Thorndike, which is really freaking hard to surpass, okay? And you've got freaking bad character design, alright? It's the worst freaking character design out of any freaking Sonic game, okay? Even worse than freaking Sonic Boom. Sonic just looks way too lanky, and Eggman just, why the frick does he even need to look like that? Okay, they just ruined the freaking character designs. I can't believe they were going to make these the permanent freaking designs for the series going forward. That's a terrible freaking idea. I'm glad they didn't freaking follow through with it. This series is a stain on Sonic's freaking history, and it ruined his freaking reputation, and he still hasn't fully recovered since. And what can I say about the gameplay itself? Disregarding the freaking glitches, well, it's either way too freaking fast, like in the Mach speed sections, where you can't even freaking control it and you'll probably freaking die, or it's just way too freaking slow. Like, holy frick! This is freaking Silver the Hedgehog's debut. He's like freaking even slower than Sonic the Werehog. Holy frick! But guess what? The soundtrack is not one of the ways that this game freaking suffers. It's got a good freaking soundtrack, okay? So, yeah, Sonic 06, terrible game to the surprise of freaking no one. We've all heard it a million freaking times. At the freaking number 2 spot, we've got freaking Sonic R. This game is freaking worse than Sonic 06, okay? I mean, sure, it's got a good soundtrack, but so did Sonic 06. And guess what? This game's controls are fundamentally flawed. Sonic 06 had controls that weren't fundamentally flawed. Unlike this freaking game. Like, it's almost freaking impossible to freaking steer. It's almost like this game was trying to compete with Superman 64 in terms of being freaking uncontrollable, okay? And the maps themselves don't help with that at all because they're freaking confusing as frick to navigate, alright? You don't even know where the frick to go. And after 5 freaking minutes, you'll probably still be on lap number 1. Like, holy frick. Game sucks. And guess what's at number 1? The worst freaking Sonic game of all time is surprisingly a classic game, and it's called Sonic Blast for the Sega Game Gear. Okay, this game is freaking ugly as frick with the freaking graphics. The animations just look really stiff all the freaking time. Alright, they were trying to do pre-rendered graphics like freaking Donkey Kong Country, but that freaking attempt just fell flat on its face. It just looks freaking ugly. It's like freaking Sonic 3D Blast in a freaking alternate timeline, except this is an atrocious reality, okay? And this game has awful freaking music. Just turn the freaking volume off and play other freaking soundtracks from other freaking classic Sonic games in the background, because it's that freaking bad. It's just a bunch of freaking incoherent clicks and screaming, alright? And you can tell that this game's design was really hindered by the freaking zoomed in perspective, because if you look at freaking other Game Gear games, like freaking Sonic 1 8-bit, Sonic 2 8-bit, Sonic Chaos, Sonic Triple Trouble, while those games weren't freaking perfect by any means, they weren't nearly as freaking bad as this game. But I think this game also had a freaking developer too, which freaking sucked. And this is possibly the most generic and uninspired Sonic game I've ever freaking played. And if you're freaking wondering, oh, well, why isn't Sonic Labyrinth on your worst list? Well, thankfully, I've never freaking played it, and I don't plan on it either. Oh, and guess what? I haven't played freaking Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric either. I've only played the freaking demo. I never bought and played the full game, only because I heard it was so bad. Alright, so that game is not on this list either. But if I did play it, I would probably have it between Sonic 06 and Sonic the Fighters, maybe. I don't freaking know. Also, you'll notice on my list of my favorite Sonic games, I didn't have the Sonic Advance series, or Sonic 4. While those are good games in their own freaking way, I just don't think they have a spot. I don't think they have a place on the best freaking Sonic games of all time list, okay? Especially if we're just limiting it to the top 10. You know what I mean, okay? So, freaking, I also had Sonic Rush on my list last time, but I decided not to freaking put it on this time around. Anyways, thank you for freaking watching. This has been a long freaking video, but it was really fun to discuss this and just redo my list because my freaking opinions have changed over the years, and it's just a good way to freaking celebrate 7 years on freaking YouTube. I still can't believe that I'm a freaking celebrity now. You know, it's still hard to even freaking wrap my mind around that. So, press the subscribe button, spread the word that I'm back to making YouTube videos, of course. Leave a like, don't dislike the video, or else I'll freaking banish you to a freaking dimension where you have to freaking, watch the Sonic 06, story on loop for eternity. So, frick you, don't freaking do that. And here's an absurd freaking hypothetical, question that you can answer in the comments. What bad Sonic game would you like to be remade? I would like to freaking see Sonic R get remade. And they even freaking teased it with Team Sonic Racing, but just turned out being another freaking kart racer, which was really freaking disappointing. Okay. Also, let me know what was your favorite freaking, just let me know what your freaking favorite Sonic game is, or, you know, top 5, or even your top 10, whatever. Oh yeah, and I just freaking realized I forgot to put freaking Sonic Free Riders on my, worst Sonic games list. Well, you know, I guess that game wasn't really that bad. It was just bad controls, but it's not really the game's fault. That's just sort of how Kinect was. The Kinect is a freaking great piece of technology. It's a great freaking accessory, but it's just hard to make freaking solid games for it. You know what I mean? Anyways, this video's freaking long as frick. It's freaking nearly 40 minutes, so I'm just gonna end it here. Thanks for watching, and this has been the imperishable Sammy Zenith. Thanks for sticking around for all this freaking time, 7 years. Thank you all, and goodbye, you fricks.